Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to an overnight feed recap, night number 7 of Big Brother season 27. All right, we still have 17 people in the house, so we had a lot of conversations taking place. So let's just get right into it so we can summarize this as quickly as possible. First of all, we did have yesterday a veto ceremony that took place. We knew that Ashley had won veto. It was pretty obvious she's going to pull herself off the block, which she did. Started becoming more obvious that unless some last minute campaigning took place, Vince was likely going to put up his final two, his ride or die Kelly, to go up on the block as the renom. He did exactly that. Ashley pulled herself off with the veto that she'd won. Vince then put up his final two, Kelly as the renom. So on the block Thursday night, we're going to have Kelly and Zay and Amy. Now remember, we're going to have the blockbuster competition. One of those three will get pulled off. If it's not Kelly, Kelly may be in a world of hurt come Thursday. Incredible the way that all fell together at the end. He put his ride or die up. All right, so we'll see what happened. Let's talk about the feeds themselves, starting from I'd say late afternoon yesterday. Jimmy had apparently some kind of blow up at the veto competition, or I mean at the veto ceremony. Kelly was suggesting that it's because Kelly is actually because Jimmy is actually working with Rachel, and so Jimmy did it as a way to take pressure off of Amy. Jimmy had told Rachel earlier in the day that he was going to call out Keanu for being fake, and it sounds like maybe that actually happened. Sounds like there's a little bit of a blow up at the veto ceremony itself. Now afterwards, apparently Keanu and Jimmy visited. Supposedly they squashed it. They got it all worked out. People always say that. Lots of times people don't really mean that. We'll see how that follows up, what happens with that going forward. But a little bit of a blow up on the veto ceremony, which I'm sure we're going to see on the TV episodes this week. But yeah, they had the veto ceremony. Kelly got the renom on that. Kelly is telling Vince and Adrian that if she doesn't win the blockbuster competition, which is going to be the first part of the Thursday night live show, if she doesn't win that, she's going to say that she threw the competition to Zay to save him in order to make sure that Amy goes out the door, because Amy is tight with Rachel and Rachel is the key target. Basically, Kelly is saying, hey, if I'm still on the block, I don't win the blockbuster comp, I'm going to win with my speech. And part of that speech is going to be by calling out Rachel, basically telling everyone that they need to vote out Amy because Rachel is such a strong threat. So that's her game plan. If it goes through, Kelly may still be out the door, but it's going to be quite the fireworks as she heads out the door. So we'll see what happens. She definitely has some plans that she has shared with Vince and Adrian on that. It sounds like Adrian has joined this alliance that was a final two, and now Adrian is some part of it as well, based on this conversation. Vince is talking about it. He's thinking that this game is going to probably come down to them versus Rachel. We see some different sides being formed. Vince versus Rachel. There's also a lot of talk about Keanu versus Jimmy. Who knows? It's so early in the game, but Vince is thinking that, obviously recognizing that Rachel is probably not on his side, and that eventually will keep building up as they go forward. He says that he believes that Rachel is bringing in everyone who wants to play safe. She's gathering all the people that are basically scared of her, pulling them all in to create a strong group on the other side. We've got Vince talking to Zay and saying that he should be good in a vote against either Amy or Kelly. That he doesn't think that Zay is going to go home against either one of those. Zay is feeling that he's pretty confident that even assuming he does have the votes against either of the two ladies, he's also confident that he probably has a pretty good chance of winning the blockbuster competition. We don't know what the blockbuster will be. It's always a quick competition, sometimes athletic, sometimes a little mental. We have heard the veto competition was more mental than physical, which makes me think that you could have a physical comp of some sort come Thursday night blockbuster comp, which certainly gives a little bit of an advantage, you would think, to Zay. That's what he's thinking, at least at this point. Vince talks about his perfect scenario. He says, in a perfect world, Kelly wins a blockbuster comp, pulls herself off the block. Zay, you and Vince tie each other in the final vote. At that point, I then break the tie. I send Amy home. You're safe, Zay. Kelly is safe. Everything's perfect in the world. He says, Rachel's already mad. So if I'm the tiebreaker that sends Amy home, whatever. She's already upset with me. So no extra blood on my hands at that point in time. Zay and Vince continue the conversation. They're thinking that if Kelly does survive, they can use her as a perpetual pawn. That's a danger. Even if you feel like you are offering yourself up as a pawn, which Kelly has done, it makes it so much easier to put you up going forward for the rest of the season. And we're very early in the season. And so, sure enough, they're talking about Kelly potentially being a perpetual pawn. They do talk about they want to bring in Zach, maybe focus on getting more floater types out of the game. The folks that are going back and forth, they want to get the people that they know are going to be on their side against Rachel and Amy and that side as well. So get out the floaters, bring in Zach, get out the floaters, and focus on having a solid group on their side. All right, we've got Kelly and Zach talking to each other, both agreeing that they really need to get out Amy this week, that Amy is the biggest threat, perhaps just because of her connection to Rachel. Remember, we've got a very strong alliance here between Rachel and Amy. They've also, it sounds like, brought in Ashley. So now you've got 3 members of the mom squad, 2 moms and Ashley as well, but a 3-member alliance on that side. They're both agreeing they need to get out Amy. Otherwise, she and Rachel and Ashley are always going to vote together. They're always going to protect each other. They're calling the ladies the 3 amigos. We got to get rid of the 3 amigos. This may be our only chance, so we've got to be going after Amy. All right, we've got Vince and Zay talking a little bit. They're saying almost the same thing that Kelly and Zach were saying in another room. They're also talking about Amy and Rachel and Ashley as being a very strong trio. So the house is recognizing this. It is going to be interesting to see how solid the 3 women are, if everyone is aware of what's going on with the 3 of them. Vince and Zay are also questioning how serious this 10-person alliance is that Keanu put together earlier in the day. Yeah, 10 alliance members, 11 alliance members. We've seen this in seasons past, right? Keanu has put this group together. Basically, it's a 10-person alliance that includes everyone except Rachel and Ashley and Amy. So the 3 mom squads, along with Jimmy and Morgan and Mickey. Keanu thinks that he's got everyone else in the house except for those 6 on his side. Maybe not so much. And the way Vince and Zay are talking about, they really think that no one's really taking this alliance seriously except for Keanu. All right, we've got Will and Zach and Adrian and Ava are talking. Apparently, they have formed an alliance as well. They're talking about, do they expand this group to a bigger alliance or not? Ava's saying she's not in a hurry to bring in others. She's kind of comfortable with where they're at right now. But she also is saying, but I trust you boys. If y'all think we need to bring someone else in, you want to bring someone else in, then I trust you on that. The guys are considering bringing in Catherine at one point, but Ava says that she just doesn't trust Catherine enough to bring her into this alliance. She also has reservations about Vince because they've brought up Vince's name. They then turn to considering bringing Lauren in. Eventually, they decide that they're probably going to do that and bring in Vince as well. They feel like Lauren is kind of with the in group, but not so much with the in group that they couldn't grab hold of her. So the final decision sounds like the guys are going to talk to Lauren and Vince, take this group of 4 alliance and go ahead and add those 2 in as well, and have a 6-person alliance that they can work with. Ava definitely seems like she's locking in with a lot of the guys so far this season. All right, we've got Kelly talking to Riley and Will. Will's still in the house. Haven't seen a whole lot of him so far in the live feeds, but Kelly's talking to Riley and Will. She's telling Will that he won't go on the block if she wins HOH. Kelly has already started campaigning. She may think she's a pawn, but I think she understands that she's still at a risk here. So she's telling Will that he will not go on the block if she wins HOH. She's saying that Riley and Will are basically 2 honest people in a house full of dishonest people. So, you don't have to worry about me, guys. Oh, and hint, I may need your vote come Thursday as well. Kelly is saying that she just doesn't want to beg for votes, but she trusts the conversation that she had with Will. Will says, yeah, conversations are important or not. Now, it's interesting to note, Will never said, yeah, you got my vote. He didn't say she didn't. He just was non-committal at this point in time. So I think Will's trying to still figure out the lay of the land on this stuff. But Kelly definitely doing a little campaigning. All right, we've got Rachel and Keanu in the gym. hashing things out a little bit. Now, Rachel has told Keanu that she wants to keep him in the game so that he can be her personal trainer, so she can get free personal training for free while she's in the house. So she's trying to get Keanu to work with her, but she's worried because she keeps hearing things that Keanu has been talking against Rachel and wanting her out and all that. So they kind of have it out a little bit. Rachel is saying that Vince at one point was considering putting up Keanu, and he would have had the votes to send Keanu out the door. And Rachel's saying, but I went to Vince. I said, don't you do it. You don't want to put up Keanu. It just wouldn't make sense for you to do it. And he ended up not doing it. That's true. She did have that conversation with Vince and did tell him that it didn't make sense for him to be putting Keanu up. Later, Vince confirmed this to Keanu. Keanu asked Vince, and Vince said, oh, yeah, she did come to me right before the veto ceremony and told me exactly that. So as a result, I think Keanu now is starting to trust Rachel a little bit more. Now, remember, his 10-person alliance does not include Rachel, so we'll see how things pan out. But he does know now that for fact that she did potentially keep him from going on the block. Rachel also is saying that Zay had told her that Keanu had said that Rachel couldn't be trusted. Keanu's denying that. Says, no, that's not what I said. Other people came to me and said that you couldn't be trusted. And Rachel's saying, well, who are these other people? And Keanu never really mentions other names at all. Keanu then proceeds into a long, drawn-out story that caused him to think that Rachel probably wasn't trustworthy early in the morning, based on him telling Morgan something, Morgan telling Jimmy something, and getting back to Rachel. And I couldn't keep up with it, even after rewinding a couple times. But basically, he was trying to explain why, there for a very short period of time, he thought Rachel maybe wasn't trustworthy at all. Rachel's responding, saying, look, Morgan and Jimmy considered sending you home, but it wasn't me. She said, yeah, I just showed you what I told Vince. I'm the only person that you know is trustworthy. You should be trusting me here. And Keanu said, no, I do now. I do now. That was earlier. But yeah, absolutely. We'll see. But yeah, certainly Rachel trying to make sure she's got Keanu on board. Rachel is talking about the others that did want to send him home. Rachel is saying, look, Zay was trying to get you as the renom in order to send you home instead of him. So Zay is definitely not your friend either, Keanu. And Rachel definitely is still targeting Zay as her target if she has the opportunity, or if she can convince other people as well. Rachel, I noticed throughout the day, has been having a lot of one-on-one conversations with a lot of different people in the house. She certainly is spreading her roots out there and making sure she's talking to absolutely everyone. She's playing the game the way it needs to be played. All right, we've also have Mickey and Catherine worried that the guys are all working together. We saw at another point, Zay was talking to, I think it was Zach, I can't remember, but basically saying, hey, look, I think we need to make sure we continue to have more men than women as well. And of course, Zay just happens to be the one guy on the block this week, but he's also talking a little bit about genders. Mickey and Catherine worried about it from the other side as well. Also, we've got Amy and Ashley and Adrian talking. Amy is saying that she just needs one more vote. Adrian, I just need one more vote and I should be good this week. And Adrian, it could be you. Adrian, I think, is very non-committal with it. Doesn't really say for certain. And she said, I appreciate your honesty and I appreciate your consideration. But he does talk about how he's already made some prior commitments. And so he's just got to see how things pan out here over the next few weeks. So Amy's certainly doing some campaigning as well. So we've got a lot of conversations going on in this house right now. All right. So I did notice last night, Zay playing a lot of chess. It seems like he's been doing that since he's in the house. We've always already heard him teaching people how to play chess and such. Good and bad to that, I believe. First of all, playing chess, of all the games you could play as opposed to pool or some of the other things, people are assuming that he's an intelligent threat. It's already happened. We've seen people talking about that. But also from the positive side, it is a good chance for Zay to just interact and develop relationships with people, sometimes on a more casual level. We saw that last night with Morgan, where they started off just playing chess, not talking about games, just playing chess. Eventually, they had little conversations on that. I think that's a good opportunity just for some one-on-ones that's not too much pressure. But he's got to be careful showing off too much. We heard earlier Rachel talking about, I think, Zay being so good at chess and that his claim to fame is that he had beaten her and you know you just have to be careful with it, but we did have Zay playing chess with Morgan. Zay's telling Morgan and Vince at one point when they get done playing chess, Vince comes over, that seems like everyone took a nap today. I don't know what it is with production. During my season we weren't allowed to nap. Apparently everyone got to take a chance, had a chance to take naps throughout the day yesterday, which explains why everyone can stay up all night long. It makes it tough on me. But yeah, a lot of people taking naps, according to Zay. All right, we did have Zay talking to Morgan a little bit as part of that chess game. Zay's telling Morgan he knows they're on opposite sides, and he understands, and that's fine. He knows that she's supporting Amy and all that. And he's okay with that, and she says she's fine. That they have an understanding with each other. That doesn't mean that they can't potentially work together going forward. So I think that's pretty smart. Yeah, we may not vote just the way we want right now, but let's keep our options open going forward. All right, we had all the house guests doing a big game of hide and seek in the backyard, all throughout the house. It's a lot of hiding places in this particular house. So we had them playing. It seems like that game lasted for quite a while. We had that. We had Ashley sitting at the hammock, talking to Zach, uh, telling Ashley is telling Zach that everyone is starting to pull her in and is treating her very different since she won Veto. She's telling him that she thinks that people realize that other than Amy, she's kind of alone. If Amy goes home, she's a bit of a free agent, so to speak. And so a lot of people are starting to pull Ashley in. She's feeling much better that she's actually being involved in the game now, and that hopefully Showergate is done and moved on at this point in time. They're both talking about how dumb it was that Keanu was trying to create this 10-person alliance and basically telling everyone. And sure enough, it was all outed almost immediately. Zach is upset because he was included in this alliance, and he says, I didn't have anything to do with it. I just heard my name mentioned, and now people are looking at me. And yeah, neither one of them are happy with Keanu. Ashley is saying that the girls are worried that all the guys are working together, and Zach says, all the guys? And she said, yeah. And he says, well, if they're doing it, they're not involving me because I don't know anything at all about it. We did hear several conversations last night from different people worried about the genders and the boys working together, the girls working together. We know Amy has said she'd like to have a girls club, and so we'll see if that becomes a factor of this particular season. But he says if it's the boys working together, I'm not part of it. Zach at one point tells Ashley that he absolutely trusts her. Excuse me. He absolutely trusts her. She says the same thing. They both recognize, similar to with Zay and Morgan, Zach and Ashley are saying they recognize that they're kind of on different sides right now, but that might be okay in terms of working together, watching out for each other. Being on different sides may benefit both of them. Ashley tells Zach she wants Amy to stay, that it certainly benefits her game, but at the same time, she's not that close to Amy. She's here to play her own game and not Amy's game. So for now, yes, she wants her to stay, but don't make too many assumptions that Ashley is locked in with any particular group. So just keep that in mind going forward. All right, we've got Rachel talking to Vince and Keanu up in the HOH room. They're up there talking for a while. She says that Rachel talking to Vince. I'm sorry, and I can't remember who else it was. Anyway, saying that that Keanu had told her that he's coming after everyone that doesn't vote for him to stay. So Rachel saying, I know he's coming for me if he doesn't leave. So obviously I'm voting him out this week. Yeah, definitely Rachel is not a Zay fan at this point in time. She spent a lot of time last night talking to a lot of people about why getting Zay out would be much better benefit to everyone than keeping him in the house itself. One, she wants to protect Amy, but also I think she just sees Zay as a huge threat to her own game. All right, we had Morgan talk about Keanu. We had Morgan not very happy that apparently earlier in the day, perhaps part of the veto ceremony, Keanu apparently had called her a snake. She tells Vince at one point that she had cried throughout the day. At the time, she said it wasn't necessarily game stuff. I'm just overstressed. But later, it turns out that, yeah, she is upset that Keanu called her a snake. Mickey talked to her about it. They had a conversation in one of the back bedrooms, and Mickey says, "Look, it's just one person. It's just Keanu saying it. So just let it slide. Don't keep going on and on about it." So Mickey gives Morgan some good advice on that. Mickey is saying that Rachel had told her that if Kelly goes home, Zay will then come after us. Not really sure who that us is defined. The ladies is the impression I get. But yeah, if Kelly goes home and Zay stays in the house, he's going to be coming after us. Morgan is saying, well, I hope if that is the case, he's coming after Rachel more than he's coming after me. And Mickey says, yeah, that could be a possibility. But again, more of Rachel going through the whole house and trying to sell the idea of getting Zay out over anyone else. Morgan says that at this point, she just wants to stay solid with Jimmy. That's who she wants to stay tight with, and so she wants to make sure that stays in a good position. Remember that, because we'll talk about that in a second. All right, Keanu is warning Zay that Rachel has very convincing arguments, and don't assume that he can necessarily beat Kelly in votes. It seemed a foregone conclusion, even just 12, 24 hours earlier, that Kelly could be the one going home this week, that she's in a lot of danger. But with Rachel working her magic, it could be Zay. Now, Zay may win the blockbuster comp, and if that's the case, it doesn't come down to a vote anyway. But Keanu is warning Zay that just in case you and Kelly are on the block when it comes to voting, don't make assumptions about the votes that you've got versus Kelly. Zay is saying that Amy has to go. Remember, he does want to go after Rachel. Rachel's not on the block this week, but her tightest partner is Amy. So he's saying that Amy absolutely has to go, that people are scared of Rachel right now. There's too many people that are starstruck in this house. He says if he won HOH, he wouldn't necessarily go after Rachel, but he's going to go after all the people that would weaken her, which could be an Amy. It could be an Ashley. We'll see. You got to survive this week first, Zay, but he's thinking about what happens going forward. Talk a little bit about recruits versus super fans and all this. Zay mentions that he watched all of season 26. He watched 5 episodes of season 20. He watched intro episodes for a lot of seasons, and he did a lot of research on Chat GPT. So definitely someone who doesn't have a lot of exposure to Big Brother, but he's saying he's starting to feel a lot more comfortable about the game. He really likes the game and strategy and all that. Tough to play the game and be this playing this aggressively early to start in what is a marathon game. All right, we've got Morgan and Vince talking. Vince doesn't think that Amy will ever go on the block again because Rachel's going to always protect her. In other words, we need to get her out now if we're ever going to do it. I don't think Morgan's going to be voting out Amy, but Vince is saying once she's off the block this time, we're not going to see Amy back on the block again. He is saying that Kelly's going to be the eternal pawn. In other words, why get rid of her? We can always put Kelly up. So we know where Vince is trying to sell the votes on Thursday. We've got Zay and Catherine talking. Catherine wants Zay off the block. She says, I don't want you on the block, Zay. But she also says that she doesn't want Amy going home because Amy helps Kat's game because she believes that Amy would keep Catherine safe. But later, she says, Zay, I don't want you to go home. But later she tells Zay that she doesn't know how she would vote if it came down to a vote between Zay and Kelly. And Zay says, well, that means you're voting against me. It's fine. No hard feelings, but I know what that means when you say that, Catherine. Catherine at one point talks about the girls having a majority in the house because we've got Rachel, so nine ladies right now in the house. But she tells Zay that nothing's formed. And just pointing out there is a majority, but nothing's formed yet. All right, we've got Riley talking to Adrian. Riley tells Adrian that he doesn't talk game to anyone. If you go talk game to people, it's too obvious that you're talking game. So he's just not playing it. He's not talking game to anyone at all. It might work short term, but you got to build a resume as well. You got to build some tight relationships. If you're not playing the game, you're not really helping anyone that much. You can only last so long as just being an extra vote. So at some point, he is going to have to play the game. But right now, he's not talking game with anyone. All right, we've got Ashley talking to Zay, telling Zay that the votes won't be split if it's Zay versus Kelly. In other words, Ashley believes that Zay is going to stay by a large margin over Kelly. Ashley's saying that she hadn't talked much game with Rachel. That, yeah, I know I'm getting lumped in with Amy and Rachel, but I really haven't talked that much game with her. So Ashley trying to distance herself a little bit from Zay just in case he stays. We've got that. All right, we've got Adrian and Kelly and Riley. Non-game conversations. They're talking about work, doing cementing and construction and carpentry and riding bulls and breaking jaws and a lot of non-game talk that was going on at this point. We also had Jimmy and Mickey uh, and Vince, and I think that's Kat in the hammock. No game talk from them either. Just too big a group to be talking a lot of game. All right, we did have Zach and Zay in the storage room with a little conversation, talking about trying to make something happen, trying working together going forward. Zay thinks that he's got all the guys and hopefully Lauren, when if he's still on the block and it comes down to a vote, he figures he's about 75% chance of staying versus Kelly. So he's feeling comfortable if it comes down to it. All right, we got Morgan and Ashley talking. Morgan says 100% she's voting to save Amy. So yeah, don't even bother campaigning to Morgan because she's going to work to save Amy. Morgan is worried about Zay. On the other hand, she's saying, telling Ashley that Zay seems to be vibing with all the boys in the house. That she expects that he'll come after the girls, and he probably will. Is it because of the gender, or just because he's coming after people that are close with Rachel, which tends to be the women? Probably a little bit more than that, but she is aware of who Zay will be coming after if he gets a chance. All right. Zach is warning Kelly that Zay has been really campaigning for votes. Kelly says, I guess, should I be out campaigning as well? Yes, you absolutely should. Kelly thinks that she and Zay both are feeling pretty good about their chances against Amy. I don't know. We'll see it. We got a few days before we get to votes anyway. All right, we've got Jimmy talking to Ashley, telling Ashley that he'll keep Zay over Amy because he trusts Zay more. So Jimmy's been all over the place. I haven't really pegged Jimmy yet where his true alliances and allegiance is. All right, we've got we got Zach telling Lauren that he wants to keep Kelly over Amy. Lauren is mentioning that Rachel and Amy have been so tight. It seemed like she was basically supporting why you would want to keep Kelly and maybe get Amy out just because of the tight connection between Rachel and Amy. So that is Zach and Lauren having some conversations, and we'll see where that goes with the two of them. Have-nots are over. They ended at midnight. It seems like they just started, but only because we saw the Sunday night episode just a couple of nights ago. In reality, they had, I guess, almost a full week of have-nots. Have-nots are over at midnight. Will had talked about how he wasn't eating anything until midnight so he could celebrate with them. We didn't get to see it. Yeah, they're holding off for the episode, I suppose. But have-nots are over, so everyone can eat, take warm showers, and all the good stuff. All right, we've got most of the house guests in bed at this point in time after midnight. We do have Jimmy and Vince walking back and forth in the backyard. Remember, these two are working together, right? You kind of forget that with everything else going on. But Jimmy and Vince talking as they walk and exercise in the backyard. There's a mention, I think it came from Jimmy, that Amy hurt her foot somewhere. Somehow she had to be helped inside. He's hoping that they don't make her go to the diary room upstairs, which, just as an FYI, a lot of medical stuff is handled at the upstairs diary room. The lower diary room is saved for the diary room sessions and all that. He's hoping she didn't have to go upstairs because she's hurt her foot. We'll see how if that has any effect on the competition come Thursday. Maybe she's just saying that just so people are not thinking there's any chance that she'll be able to do anything comes Thursday, and I will find out. But he did mention that. Jimmy is telling Vince that Rachel is taking Amy to the final two because she knows that she can beat her. He compares Amy to Victoria from season 16. It's not a great comparison, but he does mention that. Jimmy is saying that he won't sacrifice his game for the puppet Morgan. Remember Morgan talking about how she just wanted to make sure she was tight with Jimmy. Apparently Jimmy, though, thinks that I suppose Morgan's a little too close to Rachel and Amy. So he said, I'm not going to sacrifice my game for her. No, there's no way. So a little disconnect there. Jimmy is saying that if it comes down to it, Zay wins over Kelly. Vince seems a little surprised to hear that Zay would have the votes to stay over Kelly. I don't know if he's really surprised or he's just playing that way, but acting surprised that Kelly wouldn't win over Zay. Jimmy is saying that he isn't going for next HOH. He asked Vince, he said, "Who would you want to see next HOH?" And Vince says, "Well, probably you." Jimmy said, "Yeah, that ain't happening. I'm not going for it. I don't want to be HOH." So at that point, Vince says, "Well, maybe Zay, maybe Lauren. I'd feel okay with either one of them winning HOH." Vince did just put Zay on the block, right? But he still feels like he would be okay with either Zay or Lauren, and they would work the way he wants them to work. They're saying that they are each other's number one, so definitely a final two kind of discussion here going on. They're comparing themselves to Cody and Derek from season 16. You may want to slow down just a little bit before you start making that comparison, guys, but they are looking at that. We know what season these guys have focused on, right? Victoria, Derek, Cody. So they're comparing themselves to Derek and Cody. Eventually, they call it a night. They're in bed. We finally have just one house guest left awake, and that is Vince. Vince is still up. God, I thought he was going to bed. Then he sits up in the HOH room eating chips and just hanging out forever. But he finally calls it a night around 4 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. And there you have it, guys. So, in summary, we're starting to see campaigns. Nothing is solidified just yet. The blockbuster certainly is creating a lot more chaos in terms of predicting who's going home and who's staying, because we don't know who the final two are going to be. But a lot of campaigning from a couple of the nominees, not so much from Kelly itself, and people just trying to find their positions within these different alliances. Keanu's still not doing anything fantastic in terms of just burning a lot of people, exposing himself quite a bit. Rachel certainly has her target, and there's certainly people targeting Rachel's group as well. So we will see how it all pans out. Guys, have a fantastic, what is today? Tuesday. Have a fantastic Tuesday. I'll be back tomorrow morning to tell you what happened after another 24 hours of campaigning and everything else that takes place. Until then, have a great one. Cheers, my friends. SKD 143. Bye.